Good morning and welcome to another edition of the full 80 minutes. This is Craig Harrison, the postman. Jimmy Mack, the Mystic Meg, even though he's got no predictions right again. He did have Penrith in the World Club.
By Marvin 20.
Because he likes to state the obvious. And Jomi, who actually, to be fair to him, had a little bit of belief that St Helens could pull it off in this in the fantastic game. So, good on you, Joe. Tight for you, Jimmy. And I think I proved my knowledge on the game because I said exactly what had happened. So let's go.
You made that up.
No.
What did you actually pick Penrith by?
No. So let's kick on. We haven't got the great Michael Gledley here again. Good luck to Mick. I don't think you were partying last night. I think it's other arrangements. I think he's been offered quite a few gigs lately. So the budget at Show Me the Money TV Rugby is struggling to find the £300 or £400,000 contract Mick signed 2 years ago, which I think is, we'll leave that. Guys, it was the start of Super League. Let's get right into it. I'm going to start off with the Rhinos-Warrington game. I was buzzing actually for the start of it. I was absolutely thinking this is it. We've all done the hard work. We've all got where we are. We don't know what's going to happen. Who's done the right signings? Can we put the phones away?
I'm loading up the fixtures.
A lot of people complain that we're doing that, so I don't want to.
Loading up the fixtures.
Okay, so who's made the right recruiting? Who's got it right? Who's got it wrong? Who's got the conditioning right? Who's got the new player they're playing? So we're all certainly not decided on the first game of the season. But what it does it gives you a little bit of a look at what's coming. And I thought this game alone was a massive statement by Warrington.
Yeah.
And probably a massive understatement by Leeds Rhinos. The actual score, guys, is 42-10. Thoughts? Jimmy, you first?
I think more than anything, this for me was about Warrington, and boy, did they show that they mean business this year, don't they? We'd seen a little glimpse of it in Curry's testimonial, that their new look pack looked the business. Paul Vaughan were great against Lee, and he were expecting big things, and he delivered, didn't he? He had to play big minutes, a bit more than I think he wanted to. I think he was ready to come off, and we left him on. His stats for that game were superb, and even if you don't like stats, if you watch that game, you see he could be one of the signings of the season. They didn't have Josh Maguire, who we saw in the game before. Looks like he's going to be great. You've got Cassiano. We know what Cassiano offers. But we're missing Dudson. So for me, that shows, and probably more than anything, unbelievable recruitment in the forwards. But then Drinkwater could end up being the signing of the season, full stop.
You've got two signings of the season.
No, yeah, well,
like
it could be. They could have the three best signings
very
across
Craig
the league.
Harrison-esque, that, Jim.
Yeah, the greatest signing of all time. But genuinely, I've made it clear my thoughts on George Williams over the years. I think he has certain things he's very good at and other things he's not so great at. What Drinkwater, I think, provides is that organisation and that stability so that George can focus on doing what he does best and being that runner and playing a bit off the cuff and not having to worry about trying to run a game, which I just don't think he can do. So Drinkwater is going to get the best out of George Williams, and that was as good a performance as I remember ever seeing George Williams have in recent times. Yeah, wow. Because I don't think he's done an awful lot for a long time. And I know he was one of Warrington's better players last year, but behind a beaten pack nearly every week, he couldn't really do much. Whereas now, they look like they've got as good a pack as anyone in the league, and he's got a halfback partner that's going to unlock his potential. Little Dufty at the back, who we know is going to be dangerous in attack, still question marks over his defence by lots, I know that. But Leeds, I know you say I'm biased, a few players down, and it shows that you cannot go into a game against a top team, which Warrington clearly are, without Big Mick, without Bentley, without the number 1 and 2 centres, because the difference is too much. Am I worried about Leeds? No, because I think once they do get their stronger strongest team on the field, which hopefully they will soon, they'll still be, right up there in the playoffs. But this for me was all about Warrington. It was still a strongish Leeds team, and to destroy them, which they did, they absolutely destroyed them, was a massive statement that they mean business this year.
Got a question for you, Jim.
Yeah.
Watching the game, did you think Leeds' weakness was in the centre's position?
No forwards. I think Big Mick and Bentley, even if they had Mick and Bentley, that's still, I'd still think it'd be hard work the way Warrington were. But my point is, we know it's a squad game. What we've seen there for me is, even if you're one of the top teams and you have not got your best players on the field, you're going to struggle against a team who has. I think that it really shows the difference there. And Warrington didn't have Josh Maguire, so that I just think for me, that is all about Warrington. Leeds, poor performance. You see the feedback on Twitter, some fans saying, is it in the top 10 worst performances we've ever seen? For me, I'd be more focused on how good Warrington were, and Leeds need to get those bodies back on the field. The first game of the season last year, Leeds against Warrington, we were there. You were there? Yeah, I think we were all there. I remember leaving that game and at full time thinking, in 20 odd years of watching Leeds, that is the best performance I've ever seen from them in defeat. They got nicked at the end, didn't they? And they lost Bentley. I thought they were awesome. And look at it this year. They've got destroyed on the first game of the season with nowhere near the same sort of effort. So that is a concern. But hopefully once we get those big players, it'll be different for him. It could be another one for Leeds where it's all about that second half of the season, because I don't think Mick's back for 5 weeks, is he? 5-6 weeks. Bentley could be another 2 or 3 weeks.
I don't like going on that. That's my personal. But one, Joe.
Yeah, just going off what Jimmy said. Obviously, Warrington were brilliant. I think the narrative's been Powley's got his men in, hasn't it? That's been the Warrington narrative. Now, can Powley deliver once he's got his team that he wants? Well, first tick in the book, first achievement thing. He's done what he needed to do, set the precedent for the season with a fantastic win, and obviously even more than the win and the scoreline, it's how they looked. They looked awesome, didn't they? They were a pleasure to watch. And obviously it's sad against the Leeds team that I, as a kid, supported. You know what I mean? I'll chuck that in, but as a kid, how good were they? I enjoyed watching Warrington more than any other team. I've watched every game I could possibly watch this weekend. I've watched all the highlights. I've done my thing for today, and that were the performance of the week by any team at any standard. My opinion, they played emphatically, they played fast, they played how the game should be played. And the thing I like about what Powley's done is he's gone a bit away from Powley football. He's obviously embraced a bit. He's kept some of his old Powley ways of getting to the spot and doing the play, but he's also embraced the new wave of rugby, and I think he could be in for a brilliant season, because I think he's found a balance between what he believes in as a coach and what the new wave of coaches are pushing on the sport, the early shifts, the side-to-side play. He embraced all of that, but then also kept the foundation of a strong pack, getting to a point and hitting the play. They did both, which I thought were brilliant. So fair play to Powley. On Leeds, I don't know what you can say, can you? Because you don't want to read into things too quickly. Obviously, there were signs in pre-season. We've all said it on the show. There were signs in pre-season that they weren't something quite clicking, and it's been shown in that first game of the season. I don't know what they do. Hopefully, the ones that are injured, like you said, Big Mick, Bentley, Harry Newman, Nene McDonald, when they come in, you've got to hope that they make that big of a difference, which they easily could do. Obviously, make England player, Bentley, Ireland, you know what I mean, they've all been there at a good level. Can Nene step up? Yeah. That's a question. Yeah. Is Newman? If Newman comes back to his very best, he probably will. He would be one of the best centres in the league, but can he come back to his best? Sadly, with that injury record, you've always got to wonder. Yeah. There's a question there. So, can them four missing make that big of a difference? If they can, fair play to Leeds. Nothing to worry about. If they don't, I'm panicking a bit.
Can I ask you one thing as well?
No. I'm gonna carry on. You've had your 10 minutes, lads. There. I think I don't like saying about players out. The reason I don't like saying players out is because by the time they come back, there'll be another player out, and that's rugby league. That's the contact. That's the aspect of game. It's a squad game. That's why you have 28, 32 people. Yeah. If you say the top players, it's probably boring because most teams are going to say it every single week.
Not at the start of the season, but
they do. This is what, in my opinion, they do. Penrith used a couple. I think it's a squad game. I think when they come back, somebody else. If you get your first team, what you'd pick, your dream team, 5 times, 7 times a year, you're a very lucky coach. And usually for Leeds, it usually be the time of it in the playoffs where they can make sure they get everybody. But I think they'll be lucky. What the alarming thing for me was, first of all, Warrington were awesome, no doubt. That Ben Curry, when he opened up it first time, Benny looked right back to everything like a top world class Benny. That was him. His ultimate best. The full team. The pace, they've got more pace. They've got the big forwards, but you've got Daz and young Danny Walker had his best game for a bit. He looks so alive. They've got pace with the fullbacks. They've got pace with Ashton. They've got pace. It was very exciting for me to watch, like you've said, the atmosphere before the game, the bands on it. Well, it didn't look like Lamstead Slaughter, but it was. Looked like this Warrington had just got this big game, this big atmosphere set out, and everyone's ready. First game of Super League, and Leeds have turned up and like rabbit in headlights a little bit. Yeah. But what were alarming for me is, and this is what I thought about this on the weekend, and I keep getting said, people that do you conflict yourself as an agent and manager against saying what you think on a show? And it's right, it is very hard because, you know, the guy who said it to me is very close to me. And he said, look, you're not going to be really, because I want to play us. And I said, I get it, but then if we're going to do a show, we have to be honest. And I've said this from the start, I don't think Leeds is 6, 7, 9 and 1. That 4 together, for me, doesn't go top 4. And if you're talking about Leeds Rhinos, you said the other week, Jimmy, if they get in playoffs, I'm happy with that. I thought that were a terrible lack of ambition. You might be right.
That's just where I think
you might be right. But I think Leeds has been there's only 3 teams ever won it. If you're not in that, what do Leeds do? What do Leeds do now? You're watching it. Rowan Smith definitely a breath of fresh air when he came into Leeds. 100,000,000% breath of fresh air for me because he's a good. I count as like somebody I like talking to. I like being around. I think he's a great bloke. And Rowan wants to play this expressive rugby. And he's not been in charge of the recruiting. This is the big thing, and I'll keep saying this about Leeds, and I'll say it. Leeds needed to have a director of football who had sole thing of the recruiting. I think they tried it with Kev, but Kev was so inexperienced coming into that. I love Kev. I got on with him like an house boy. We did some great deals. But Kev came into it on the back of literally going to team manager at England wasn't so much recruiting, it was making sure everything went well. Yeah. Coming into Leeds, it was given the keys to say, look, Kev, we need you around the Leeds because of who you are. And secondly, he was given a job in recruiting whatever side. That was then passed on from Brian Mack to Kev. Then it was passed on to Richard Agar. And Rich got out of it. Now, Rich, his knowledge on rugby is unbelievable. It's true. You could sit there and have the argument with Rich, he'd blow your legs off. There's no one I know who wouldn't know rugby league better than Rich. I promise you. You could sit him in any environment and he'd be like that. But for some reason, because the cap's been as it is, they're always trying to fill something. And I said this the other day. At one time, Leeds had go and get overseas players, and the research had been gone in to get in there. The last 5 or 6 overseas players for Leeds have come from English clubs. You've got this year, Meme, Robert Louis, Caesar, Austin. Yeah. And it's never happened. That would not have happened. If Chris Chester can go and get that player to league, if Warrington couldn't get that player, if Salford have done it more as good as anybody, why are Leeds all the big? If you go to a player and you said to him, come to Leeds Rhinos, you're 1 up. Let me tell you, you are 1 up. Big city, historic club, massive crowds, massive corporate, brilliant time to have. Not one person who comes in. If you said to Connie, he's done unbelievable at St. If you said, where did you have best time? It's Leeds. Connie, he embraced it like he couldn't believe it. So something with the recruiting is hard. We cannot blame Rowan Smith for that. There's no Leeds fan can put that on Rowan because he hasn't had chance to get into that. Yeah. I don't know whether that's his role. I don't know whether him and Gary have had the chat and said who is picking that side, who is picking the recruiting. Does Rowan give Gary historically? Gary'd give the coach a list of players or the players, and Gary'd get it to him, and then he'd give it to the coach. The coach would say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. But Gary'd do a lot of that. I don't know whether that works anymore. I looked at the last 10 year signings the other day, and I thought that it's not been great. We've got to be honest. I'm not going to name individuals because you don't want that. It's awful because the way social media is, you don't want them coming on people and giving them it. But there's historically probably 10 years of not actually quite getting that signing right. I don't know why. I think that's what me for Leeds at the moment. I'd say, listen, Rowan's going to do what he's going to do, and no one's saying anything after one game. Joe said it pre-season. We watched them at KR. We watched the Wakefield Boxing Day. They just didn't look on it. There were little things about it that you're thinking, and I'll still say it. And that's no fault of Cruz, but absolutely outstanding for 15 months at Leeds. He looked like he was going to be the England 9 for the next 5 year captain. Don't know what. You see, that's not the same Cruz. And it's a confidence thing with Cruz. You can see it a mile off. When Cruz is confident, whether lads laugh that he's running around pitch and he's keen at that, but Cruz probably needs to be like that to be effective. Caesar and Austin have been brought in on the back of, like I said, really, Gaelic were brought in to try and fill a gap.
Yeah.
Gaelic probably fell out with Rich in the end, but he thought he did the Challenge Cup that we're getting Leeds back on the trophy cabinet. That were part of that first narrative. Robert Louis were brought in halfway through a season, cost him a fortune, Robert, to try and fill a gap. Liam Sutcliffe, Brad Dwyer and Zach Hardacre left last year. What I've just seen at weekend were they 3 best players. You know, the raving about Dwyer at all. I must have got 25 things saying, oh my God. Sutty. Sutty's getting the same. We've seen Zach pre-season. He looks absolutely electric.
Alex Mellor at Cass
getting rave reviews. So poor old Rowan's come in and probably had to go. Got no cap space. They've already signed these for next year. People understand that. He might have had a £2.1 million cap coming in. He's gone, oh God, I've got to get rid of at least 3 players. And then he's had to look who he doesn't want to give a new contractor. Because he's probably overcapped and he needs them in. He probably had his eye on Meme and made that call against, I think if Leeds are going to do something, and what they did last year was unbelievable. But I did say at the start of this programme about a month ago, that's literally pretty tough because that's putting the standards for me where Leeds Rhinos should be. They should be thinking that. We can't say about will they need time to gel. Well, you don't get time to gel at Leeds. It's just part of what Rowan got asked. I don't know if Rowan watched the show, but he got asked before the game, do you feel pressure? And he goes, of course I do. That's part of being at a big club, which is what we'd said about Matty Pete the couple of weeks before. But I'm watching it and I'm thinking, I've not seen it for a long time. There were a couple where Cruz did that shot on, I didn't think it was a bad tackle. I think they ducked
that was
Thulis.
great refereeing. That.
Yeah,
fair
on
play
Thulis.
on that one, yeah.
And a couple of times it sparked up. And here's a challenge to Leeds lads. They never came as a pack and went for it. They left Cruz was stood on his own for about 2 minutes. And I'm thinking, that's not good, because that one thing you get told in under 13s is if anything goes off, and it happened 2 or 3 times, it got quite tasty when Jared came on, and Jared went it up a level in intensity. But I watched it, and they're going to have to keep, that's a big sign of team ethics. When you go for it, and there's a bit of thing, and then you bang, you want to be on it. I think Leeds have got a lot of work to do, and a lot of work they've got to do pretty quick. Now, again, you might say, who could they bring in? In fact, let's say, what's he called, Sione? The prop who came off injured.
Lissone.
The French lad.
Sangare. He played well. Yeah, he played really well.
There's the nucleus of it, but they're going to have to be... It's so Super League at the moment, to be fair. I'm going to give this respect. It's probably pretty on all the time. It looks like there's not going to be them easy games anymore. There's not going to be that boring fixture where I can't tell you names, but how many players, top players, to me, it's like very mundane. 4 or 5 fixtures here, you just can't beat. You're like, oh God, I could do this with glasses on. I don't think they've got that. I think Warwick Powley needed to get off to a good start.
Yeah.
Suddenly, it's not your year, it could be your year. Joe's already said it. It could be their year. We've already said the comment.
Yeah.
Rowe's going to have to find a way to get that belief back in. And you can only do that by winning matches. But as I say, I don't know if they've got it next 3 weeks, but I think they're straight among it.
They've got a tough game this week.
I'll do it in a minute, that, but yeah, you're probably straight on it, aren't you?
Yeah, and I think you draw comparisons. I feel like this year for Leeds is a similar situation to what Powley was in last year at Warrington, where he's inherited a lot. He's been able to make a few minor changes. So, Leeds have got, and I'm sure they're aware of what Warrington went through last year. They've got to be very careful it doesn't happen to them and they don't get...
You see Ash Handler, we've got a lot of time for Ash. I think he's probably, I've said for the last 2 years, probably... No, so when Danny told me I got that, I didn't have Ash there. The last 18 months I've had his back on how he's developed as a player. Ash looks as frustrated as I've ever seen a player in my life, and that's not a good sign. I've seen his eyes. I've watched his body language. If he's knocking on it, and I think he's thinking, oh my God, if I'm not doing these big carries,
I think he's got weight
and
on
he's
his
having
shoulders,
to force it, and I'm thinking, wow, if they've got Ash, if Ash is having that as a young lad on, 26-year-old, there isn't the Maguires and Sinfields there anymore. There isn't the player as such who can say calm down.
Yeah.
Who's the leader, not making the captain?
Well,
I mean, I hope Rowan takes this the right way. And again, Ro, I'm saying this respectfully because I do think a lot about you, and I think what you did last year and what you're going to do will be fantastic. But if you can't pick a captain and you've got a team of leaders, well, I don't get it. I just can't get it because it's got to come to them moments, and it's all right saying, hey, yeah, we're all leaders in this team. We've got a leadership group. It don't. Sometimes you do need somebody to dish the bollocking at. You need the man. If I've been in every organisation, business, sport, anything in life, you either have that man, or you've got some good lieutenants.
Yes.
But you've usually got the man who has to say, bump. I don't see that at Leeds. I thought, my opinion, obviously, and this is from a Show Me the Money one, I thought Cameron was the natural leader to go and take him into that. I think you have to have a top player with a top attitude who signs a long-term deal. And I thought when Cameron did that, he was saying, listen, I'm here for the thing. And I know how much respect the lads have got for him. I know how much respect all the other clubs have got for him.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I get the no captain. I can't.
I think it's one of those things where, like you've just said there, if they're winning, it's great. You've got different voices, everyone's respect. But
do you like that though?
Personally, no. I'm with you. I think at times.
Do you like leadership?
I think there's that scenario of too many chefs spoil the boil, and what you don't want, and even at lower level stuff, if you've got too many voices in those real tough times when you're under the sticks and you're 2 tries down, if you've got too many people, I'm not sure that's good. I think you need one person to take the role, and then yes, others chip in, and it's good having a leadership group, but to not have that one person and one voice at certain times. When things are going well, brilliant, but it's what about what happens when it's not, and do you need that one voice? And I'm with you on that, and I'm never going to question anything Rowan does at all, because so far I like everything I've heard about everything he does from every player, in my personal opinion. But that is one thing where I've never experienced or seen a situation where I find that works. So there's a big question mark. It's my first question mark against Rowan, I'd say.
It's just ultra new school, isn't it? It's ultra new school. It's the way of everyone's in it together. It's taking out that, like you said, that character that sometimes you can live or die by, which some people love. The old school love it. You know what I mean? The army, like I said, the old wars. It's all about that one leader, and you're going behind that one leader into battle, aren't you? Where the new way of doing it, a lot of people don't want that. It shouldn't be on that one character. It's a team. It's this, that. But I think Jimmy, you've nailed it. I think when the times are tough, sometimes you need that character, don't you? You need that man among men. You need that special character that people can go, I'm panicking, and then you see someone diving in. You're all right, then come on, let's go. And obviously Saints have it with Saints have it. I think Saints have it with quite a few people. You know what I mean? If I'm looking at other teams, Wigan over the years have had it with Sean O'Loughlin
and Andy Farrell before that.
Andy Farrell before that.
Tommy Lulai since.
Tompkins, yeah. There's so it's an interesting one. Can it work in the long run?
Leeds historically, Joe. Leeds historically have had the best captain of any era.
Yeah.
With lieutenants of Jamie Peacock, Danny Maguire, and Rob Burrow. They had Jamie Jones. They had the perfect scenario. The man who was going to say, listen, guys, and he had what a lieutenant he had in JP and Danny, and it was brilliant how it all filtered down. But I can't see a time in my life at Leeds when I didn't think Kev was captain.
But I think I'm just thinking about it now. If you are going to do a leadership group like he has, you've got to see that group come together. Like you said, Kev captain. If you sometimes look at other teams, there are multiple people that lead you through the storm.
Well, there's always that.
There's always multiple people then that lead you through the storm. Well, they had the storm, didn't they, against Warrington, and no one were pushing through it. And I think that's the downside against a leadership group, because if no one takes that onus, I think that probably Rowan behind that was hoping multiple people would take the onus, and there's not one people. We've got multiple.
I think it becomes ego.
We've got multiple people in this group that can be leaders. Let them all be leaders. I think that's the probably the mindset, the explanation behind it. But does that mean? But then, like I said, when it's got tough, none of them have come through, sadly.
Listen, it's not none of them have come through. It's an 80-minute game, and I don't think they've had time to gel as a team together to find out if this leadership... We've got to give the leadership group 6 games. My question is, I wouldn't have gone for the leadership group from the start.
Yeah,
everything I've ever done in my life, if you, honestly, one of the biggest bluffs, when you're in business or you're starting any team, the ones who sometimes bluff and they're in that group, will just come up with the voices to bluff. You'll be listening to them, and I've got it. It's drove me mad over years, and I'm probably lucky enough in my life. I've never worked for nobody else apart from my dad, and then I've worked for myself since then. So I can call a bluff and say, "Shut the! I'm sick. I don't want to have it," because I can see through it. Because that leadership quality of you as a person sees through that. When you've got 4 or 5, I can't imagine sat in a group and they say, "What do you think we did wrong?" And they go, "Well, you got it. You got." I'd be like, "Oh my God, you've got me confused after the first one."
Yeah.
And well, you have a little gun. Well, yeah. Well, from what I'm seeing, Jimmy has a little gun. From what I'm seeing, that should be fed into the man, and then the man has to. For me, he has to. Now, Rowan's not a coach.
That's your way, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Rowan is a coach. Let's be honest. Rowe's style is probably a little bit like what you just said. He's probably new school and thinks, "Hey, even as I coach, he don't look like somebody to me." Rowan goes, "Here, listen, come here, you." Do your shut the fuck and do your job. That I can't see Rowan being that.
No.
So Rowan's probably in that school of thought of that, isn't it? Yeah. Sometimes I don't know if you watched it. I thought it was fascinating watching Mourinho in that behind the scenes at Tottenham, and I thought some of the things he said were absolutely fantastic leadership. I've been lucky enough at my low level of anything to have great leaders and great coaches. I always talk about. Reedy, I've never seen no like him. He was just the best coach I have ever. Just knew everything, what to say at the right time. A lot of people said that about Brian Mack. What were his strength? He just had a gift. Listen, all I'll say is, and I'm probably backing Rowan on this, I am backing him. Just give him a bit of time and understand that cap, he inherited 85% of that cap. Give him a bit of time. Let Rowan work out what he sees as being the best. Like Jimmy and Joe have said, let him get his full team back. And then you can judge either way. But great start for Warrington. Let's not take anything away. Unbelievable. Everything you've said. I love the day. Carl Fitzpatrick. They got Fitzy on the camera. That big grin. It were like, wow. Simon were buzzing. The whole team's buzzing. It could be Warrington's year. Yeah. Right, but the next one.
Very, very quickly. The last thing that came to me. I think as well, because of the changing and the different ideas he's got, Cruz, Cammy, we saw start on the bench. He's probably not sure which players are going to be on the pitch all the time to have that role. So maybe you don't want to necessarily.
That's a good thing.
It is. I'm on about in terms of choosing a captain. He might not want to give it to Cruz. He thinks, well, Jared might be playing more minutes than Cruz. So it would be very hard to select a captain when he don't even know who's going to be on the field that much. The way he is.
Yeah,
it might be true, but.
Well, I think I think that could be another factor.
Right, guys, we've got Lee Leopards. I'm going to do next against Salford. I get told off every week. Red Devils. Now, I watched this game, and again, Degsy, I salute you. I salute you, treble. You've got the leopard skin jacket on. You're absolutely into it. The group's fantastic. I cannot. If anybody gives this man, listen, Dexys and characters up and down. One thing will never, ever, ever, ever. They can't say that he don't love that sport and don't love that club, because he puts himself in positions I was looking at that jacket. I thought, I'm mad as a March Etter. Would I wear that jacket in middle of sky? And I'm thinking, Deggsy put it on and he's dancing away and he's, unbelievable. So the scenes they're giving it, IMG must think, you know what? Came into this sport on the back of rugby league and these lads are having a right go. These chairmen are putting, there were OKR, there were a group on, there were groups here. It's unbelievable. I know we've all said it, but they're actually all having a go. So a salute. We're going to do a special programme next week. I promised the chairman and CEOs would do it on the chairman, CEOs and the characters in the game. We're going to do a little bit. A lot of people have asked for it, so we're going to do it. Deggsy, you'll take some beating some for me because you are just A1. And I smile when I see you. That's a big gift for anybody. When you see somebody and you've got that smile on, that takes a lot because a lot of people don't get that. And if you get that, you're doing something right, in my opinion. The game, Salford. There were times in that game there were mesmerizing. There were some things they did which was absolutely fantastic. They really try. The way it come across, I'm like, God, the way they set that up, went back inside, bang, 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 and I'm watching it thinking, we watched Lee, so we know how tough Lee were to break down. We knew it, but Joe did say he didn't think Lee had enough points in them to win these games. He did say it. He said, I don't see enough open, whatever. They get to a point, then they don't execute. When they don't execute, it affects everything because they definitely got the field position to win that game. I actually had Lee. I thought Lee in that home swing would make the difference. That for me was a massive result. Paul Rowley and the lads, they absolutely executed. And do you know what? How do they keep getting these interviews? I love the way they managed to get players in there. So you just said about players missing. They've got 3 or 4 missing. They've got a big man of their cap, Dan Sargent. Yeah, they just carry on. They never make any excuses. Dan Sargent missed nearly half the season. Joe Burgess missed it the other day. Yeah. When you're on about Leeds, do you get me? Why I don't get into it? I think it's the same for everybody.
Yeah, I mean,
two of their big players, international players there.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. That was purely talking about the battle in the middle, and and not having Mick and Bentley against that Warrington middle. It was quite specific to that.
But I'm saying two of their outside backs, both massive players for them. I think they had a prop missing in Arnold, I think it was. But what I'm trying to say is Andy Ackers again. As soon as the best team, somebody else stands up. Yeah. Ackers just goes, yeah, no problem. You're absolutely fabulous. Ryan got man at match. I put up on Insta 2 of the defensive efforts he did. One-on-ones meet top players, and he's absolutely. I thought he went tie on one, Ryan. I'll just have a go at you there. One, I think got away with murder. But Ryan was absolutely his defence, and he caught 6. He said to me next day, boss, me body's knackered, and I thought, yeah, there's no wonder they were putting that box kick up, and he will get in the hammer. If Ryan don't get he's finally done it. He's finally got it. He's made it through the rain. And all the respect's coming. It's unbelievable and we talk about it from that KR. Whatever happened at that KR to where he is now, people are starting to give him the toffee. The best player in Salford, they say, is the halfback, the big money man.
Brody.
I didn't think Brody did anything that well. I didn't think he carried the game. That's how good they play at times. He didn't carry the game. He didn't have his best game. He didn't look to me like he's the most dominant halfback in the country on that game. It was other characters who were absolutely. I think, who did they say run Ryan's close?
Laffey.
Was it Laffey? No, was somebody else on it. Paul said it. So no, I can't believe that he didn't get it. There was somebody else anyway, and Paul thought he should have got. Right. He certainly didn't mention the half. The half. So listen, Lee are going to have to find something to open teams up. They get the field position. They're robust. The defence is good. They can roll you. Everything seems right until you open the cake, and then they're not getting the slice of the cake out. So I don't know. Is that a change of?
Well, I'll say because I think I've got most of my Super League predictions right actually this week.
I thought you tipped Lee.
No, Jim.
I thought it was just me.
I was the only one who had Salford in my top 6 this year.
Yeah.
So I'm taking the credit here. I think they looked awesome. They looked how I thought Salford would look this year. I think, like you said, Lee. They've just got such a hard-working, hard-nosed team, haven't they? They probably just need that bit of execution. I don't know if Lammy can do it by himself. He just doesn't seem to have that. I think Lee needs...
No, he does. He's got everything. There's nothing he's not doing.
He needs... Well, I think they've got. I don't know. I disagree. I don't know if he's got that explosion to get the try by himself. I think they need an out and out try scorer in that team.
But I think they've got. For me, sorry to butt in because this is my only point on this. I think they've got Latelli, who was as good as anyone last year and can score tries. So for me, it's just a case of how do they. I didn't think they seem to use him that much. I think we need to find a way to get him in a bit of space, one-on-one with his opposite centre.
The hooker shot me. The hooker at Leo, I thought were going to be the man.
Pape.
You've got to take it. You've got to. I said it. Oh God, he didn't look. The Warrington game, I was like, he don't look as. Leeds when they played Malcolm. I'm saying to you,
we said it in preview. It's a totally different level. That's why I said.
It looks like he's in a faster lane and he's not getting the chances that he
like,
totally
what I
different
said,
world,
didn't I?
same
The fact he was. I know, obviously, Man of Steel, the weights voting got him as the fit. But I thought that was sadly for him. I thought that was an insult for a lot of hardened, seasoned Super League players that he's gone from champ to be the Man of Steel favourite. Whether the Man of Steel works a certain way, that would mean he is.
Yeah.
But like you said, they've signed Latelli, they've signed Zach, they've got Lucky Lamb who signed halfway through the season. That once he was later on in the season, he looked like one of the best players on the pitch. So for them to just say Pape's going to get Man of Steel was I think that you put it. I think that not you. I mean, the Rugby League will probably put him on a pedestal going into this season that probably he didn't need. He's just a good, very hard-nosed player, tough as out, tough runner, can play, but he's
not getting on that front foot. That thing I watched him and Matty Davis, and they were watching and the ball wasn't coming out at pace. It wasn't pick and roll fast. It was very slow ball, and I'm watching it thinking, oh God, they're not going to make clean breaks like they were. Certainly not. And then you've obviously got the partner follow me and what's going to come off on his edge, which is going to have
that's where Latelli is as well. I think that could be part of the issue that Lammy's on the other side as Latelli.
Listen, the one thing for sure, we know. I know what Dexter is like, and I know what Chelsea. Chelsea will be told this morning. I'll tell you now. Listen, we're not doing all these bands and all that, but you need to get that right. I'm not putting $200,000 a month in my own checkbook. You watch, it'll go. So there will be changes. That is one club where you know. Now that's the bit where people have said what happens when a bit of adversity comes at League. Will it all fall apart and will they do it? So it's massive. We're only talking one game, but
yeah, but I think
positive. It would a derby.
Wait, I don't know. You can't just move on from that. I don't think you can say adversity, because I don't think I think their players are built for adversity. That every single player on that team has been through adversity. I don't think that's what they'll struggle with. I think they just need enough strike on the team to get enough tries. No, it didn't
mean the players. It won't be the players. When the adversity comes, it'll be Degs who will go. You're gone. He'll put the nod to Chelsea and the new players.
Well, I think Deggsy's got to have enough faith in the players that they've signed based on last year, based on what we've seen in pre-season. I keep saying the word tough, hard note. They've got this amazing team that everyone's gonna have a nightmare going against because they're that tough, they're that powerful. But they need to find some tries. I think that's the only thing they need from what you've seen in pre-season. At no point in the thing have they just opened up and scored 2 or 3 tries in a row on someone. At no point. And this obviously against Salford, who at times last year weren't the best defensive team. Certainly were electric.
Well, they played 3 games. So you say that at what point to what point? They played 3 games so far. We can't go off that.
I think Lee's thing is
no. I'm saying so far you can go off what you've seen so far. Yes.
But you said opening up in 3 tries. It's had 1 league game. I mean, it's very hard to say. I don't think only one has anybody done that 3 tries back to back.
Warrington did against Lee.
There you go.
I think that Lee will just take. They've got some brilliant personnel. I think it's just it's a big step up.
Ollie Partington. Well, the player that Paul Rowley said was the best player on the with Ryan. Ollie Partington thought was.
I think we knew Lee had it so easy last year. My worry for Lee going up was it takes a while to get up to speed, a bit like Keith Lee getting into the champ. The only thing I've seen in Lee is I think that their fitness levels at that hour mark in a game, again, from the little bit we've seen, where they seem to just slow down a bit and the other team starts to capitalise. I think it'll take Lee a bit of time to get up to the match speed and match fitness of Super League level. Pape can't just run at tired Championship defences. He's got to be up against tougher defences, fitter defences. But I think when Lee, start getting up to speed and get used to it and get used to that level, that's when they'll start to pick up a few points. Which
a few points, not but this is what I'm probably going to say.
But I've only got Lee escaping relegation, and I do think that they will pick off some teams at home later on in the season, or after a number of weeks when they get more settled and more conditioned. And I think that's all they can hope for. We'll get onto it, but we've seen how, some of the other teams are putting big performances who we thought might be down there, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for him. I've no doubt about that, and I think
be interesting because Lammy as a coach, I can't remember his whole career, but I'll go off Wigan, his last job. What were Wigan known for when Lammy there? The number one defence in the league, but what did they not have? A tremendous fast-paced attack. I said it on the show about Wigan. Yeah. That was when Lammy,
I think that was personnel.
That was when Lammy were coached, wasn't it? So I think, but if you and then it looks like Leah having the same could possibly then, like I said, only a couple of pre-season, one game in, could possibly have similar things. So it'd be interesting, and if Lammy does find a way to get the attack going and score a bunch of tries, fair play to Lammy, because it's something I've not completely
Yeah, but
seen.
last year they were scoring 60 points a game, but it's just getting used to this level, isn't it?
Yeah, but that was against Championship when they were spending double the amount of anyone else but Fev, but still spending nearly $250,000 more than Fev.
Right, come on. By the way, we get slaughtered on the full 80 for not mixing it up, and some fans know we're not going to listen to Super League. The lads are going to do a Championship thing after this, so we don't want you to lose you, and we're going to talk about some politics of the game and how the game as a whole within this show. But that's sorry if you think that we're just doing the Super League. We are. You're right. The next game, guys, we're going to go out here is we just had a big debate there. We've got to stop the show on the bollocks I've been hearing and things too. So
it's now Monday afternoon.
We've got Trinity guys and Dragons, and that's the Catalan Dragons. Trinity's probably the people's favourite to go down. Catalans, everyone's been interested to see how they come across. A lot of people for the first time have said they don't look the part this year. They've had a man at top 6 for the first time. Yeah. Well, maybe the result tells you otherwise. I spoke to Fordy after the game, I sent a text. I said, were you disappointed? He said, yeah, very. We had times in that game we should have won. So he felt that they should have won the game. He said, we've got a lot of lessons to learn in certain areas. We're going to have to learn them quick.
Right.
So I think that'll be talked upon. Guys, your opinions?
I thought it was just an interesting setup. I thought it was a very interesting first fixture because, like you say, lots of people having question marks against Catalans. They were a couple of players out. Tompkins obviously didn't play and Mitchell Pearce didn't play. So they went with a different team and a team that, we've not seen. So it were, for many people, and certainly, as it looked at the bookies, it was going to be a real chance for Wakey to pick up a bonus 2 points first game. They got off to a good start and then Catalan seemed to have just chipped away. So it's interesting to hear Fordy's feedback there because who knows where Catalans will finish up. I think they're as hard a team to predict as any. But
that's because of lack of knowledge from us.
It is.
We don't know. The young halfback who went in, he's been the one that's been raved about in the right game, so we wouldn't know that.
No, definitely. It's ignorance. I've watched highlights from their pre-season game, but their opposition's so hard to judge. So they are an unknown quantity. So we'll probably find out over the next couple of weeks, where how respectable that Wakey effort was against Catalans, and at least Wakey got some points in. And, I know they're disappointed in defeat, but there's probably quite a few positives to take out of that for Wakey. I'm really intrigued to see how they get on, well, how both of those teams get on this week.
Joe?
Yeah, I guess I'd challenge you on the fact that the score was quite close on it in general. I thought it was quite a...
Yeah, 38-24 it's ended up.
Yeah, they got away with it at the end, but it was close for most of the game.
My question is then, which one do you take more out of? Do you take more out of all? I guess it sees where you see both clubs. You take out of it, are Wakefield not bottom contenders because they've just gone? You know what I mean? I guess if you're reviewing the whole season, if you're judging one game of the whole season, could you say Wakefield aren't thing because they went really close with a team who have come top 4? Or do you say, oh no, Catalans are worse than we thought because they've come really close with the bottom rated team?
No, you don't say any of that. Well, for me, you've got Trinity with the squad size have got to get off to a good start. They haven't got the money or the squad to come in.
Yeah.
If they don't get a good start, it's not great.
Yeah.
Simple as. They were targeted the first 4 or 5 games to try and get the points they did, because when you've only got the squad size they've got, they can't afford any injuries. Well, the first game of the season should be the only game you don't get an injury, even though a lot of teams have. So as it goes on, for me, Trinity, unless they bring people in, and they have got cap space, which I don't think they're going to bring people in, I genuinely believe. Yep. Michael's doing the franchise system of ground facilities and hoping that Mash and Fordy can do what they do. But again, for me, I think Trinity have earmarked massive results at start. I can't see how, as I say, if they lose, let's just say they lose Lino or they lose somebody who's so
you wanted them to win the game, then, is what you're saying?
100%. It was their best chance.
It was a good chance, wasn't it? Yeah. But again,
why?
That's
Who would
what I'm
Catalans
saying.
miss it? I think if it was a good chance, if Catalans are that top 4 or 5 team, how was that a good chance?
Catalans were a few out, and I know.
Well, Catalans don't travel historically brilliant, so you've got them first game at season, and you've got Wakey at full, nearly full strength. I know that Corey played back row, so Corey obviously they shifted that one, but.
Yeah, if we had Catalan at a couple out position, we had no Tompkins, we had no Mitchell Pearce. So I know we don't want to get too carried away with who's in and who's not, but to play them first game of the season, they've not even been in the cold country this year.
I just think the bottom clubs have got to, for the smaller squads, have got to start well. Totally. It can't be any other way. If you've got a lead squad, right, and you've got a big squad.
Yeah,
you've got 14 people to come into that who would probably. Leeds and maybe even OKR, what I said the other day, would have 14 players or 10 at least who could come into most sides and actually do a game, and not see a big difference. If Wakey lose Lino, if they lose 1 or 2, you straight away you'd be panicking. You'd be panicking immediately, thinking, God, how are they going to replace him? Reece Lynn, how are they going to replace Reece if he went off? How would they do this? So for me,
I think as much as anything as well, I feel Wake you're up against it so much this year for those reasons. It's where do you next see them having a chance to win? If they go away to Wigan this weekend, so
they're not back of defeat. So imagine.
Yeah, you start to think that although it was half a chance, and Catalans, what I was saying was we'll know more this weekend. Catalans go to Lee. If Catalans beat Lee by 20-30, then you go, oh, well maybe that were decent off Wakey.
Is it at Catalans?
I think it's.
Well, I'll do that in a minute.
I think it's at Lee, but if that's what I'm saying. Yeah, Catalans are at home to Lee. If they destroy Lee, then you're like, oh, not so bad, Wakey. But I don't see Wakey having many chances to pick up points. And catching a weakened Catalans team at home first game was probably an opportunity. I also think the same for Lee. I thought that was an opportunity at home for them to pick up points, and they didn't take it. So, it's arguably two chances missed there for both those teams, who I think will be near the bottom. Whereas Hull KR, we'll get onto that shortly, did the opposite. They had half a chance.
But if we're concentrating on Wakey there, Wakey, like you said, a few out thing. I think it's first game of the. It's a long season. I don't know. I guess I'm not as.
I'm with your dad.
I'm not. But Wakey last year didn't win many and then went on a run.
Joe, they had the biggest. Honestly, trust me, son. They had Fafita. They had not saying better players. Not wrong for me. It's a bigger squad.
Well, Tom Johnson, Fafita.
Yeah,
Tom Johnson didn't play all year.
No, but forget about that. Forget about all that. Forget about all that. This is an easy read. I promise you. I won't have the calibre of player to come into this squad. So at the start, before there's ever injuries, they've got to be good. I promise you. It makes common sense. Even if you're working out on, oh God, some teams will go, God, if he gets injured, this get a chance. So when Dodsey were at Saints and they had Theo and Thingy, they weren't bothered being disrespectful to Theo and Danny Rich. They weren't bothered because they knew what were coming. They were saying, oh God, if these get injured, we've got best young half-back in country to come in. That's happened at Leeds over the years. It's happened at Leeds dominantly, where you've gone, God, we're so paranoid about him, but then you've got this player. I don't think Wakefield have got anybody out at 18. Or you could say...
I think they do.
But you've got Morgan Smith coming in. So
Morgan played.
Oh, he played with Lino.
He played at Hooker and then half.
Oh, did it? Oh, right.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
No, let's do commentary non-stop.
Yeah, the
played at Hooker.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, you did. Yeah, I think they do have a couple. Maybe I'm overestimating Wakey's side. And then I think they do have a couple.
Yeah.
Am I?
Yeah.
Well, you
bound
said
to have a
going against a
couple.
popular-
They're always going to have a couple. You say, I've got this young kid, and you might have Dane, you might have somebody to come in, but bottom line is that player against what's coming in at the other teams is just such a gulf. It's such a gulf. You've just said Leeds have got 4 out, 4 at best players in 4 top draws. Just said Wigan might have had somebody out.
Catalans did.
Catalans
did. That's
it's
the thing.
not. We didn't have that type of player out a game, Joe.
But it's first game of the season. I guess I'm not reading.
We're not reading anything. That's all.
It was just it was half a chance missed,
No, I mean,
and I don't think we're going to get many half chances.
I think
to
for
win
a bottom,
games.
for what we presume could be a bottom 2 or 3 team, I don't think missing out on one. I think there'll be plenty of more opportunities in the season.
Catalan's percentage of winning their away games against the teams that Trinity are going to come up against now would it be a chance, Joe?
Yeah, I get you.
Even on stats.
No, I'm not saying it won't be a chance. Sorry, I'm saying I'm not.
You think they'll get more chances?
I think there'll be plenty of other chances again. Like you said, Lee. I think there's other teams in there. I think are in pretty similar positions. I don't think. I don't know. It's Catalans' first game of the season. Catalans play well normally.
No, they don't. Joe. That's
they don't start well.
No,
they
don't start well. They don't start well. They don't think it. So you've got half a chance. Catalans usually come good later on in the season when they've got it, and they're definitely percentage-wise. The percentage
away
will be ridiculous compared to away. So
that.
Anyway, let's move on to that. The next one we've got Hull KR and Wigan Warriors. Now, I watched this game. Again, let's give them plaudits. They're a group on. I think they're a local group on. The fantastic atmosphere.
The K's.
Yeah, they were a fantastic atmosphere to the game. Again, the production teams of Sky. This was Channel 4. Did a fantastic job. I'm loving, and I've got to say it again. IMG must be absolutely loving what's happening in the game. That these people are having a right go. There's non-stop. It'll be interesting for the teams now if the pressure's on all the chairmen to put bands on because somebody's going to be busy if there's a band at each team. You know, Rhinos have not done it. I don't think they've done it for a bit. They usually have an opera singer or one singer or whatever. It'll be interesting now if everyone says, listen, let's all get there early and have a carnival experience, which is what I think is going to happen. I don't know how they'll be able to afford it budget-wise. But Ulkayard, Paul, me talk more than probably anybody. Paul Lakin is the CEO. I have total respect for Paul and Neil Hudson, and it's weird because I put KR in the top 4 and absolutely got peppered. Absolutely peppered.
Yeah.
Saying it's ridiculous, and it might be. By the way, when
you've had some credit though.
When you do stand up, and give something because you think you've seen it, then you've got to take what comes with that.
Yeah.
And I've spoke to both camps. I spoke to both camps of this. So I'm going to hand it to you lads because, like you said, I don't want to take the steak before you used to have a go at it. But it was weird how the build up to the game, and how I could hear both camps and what they were thinking, and then what happened, and it was weird afterwards. And I'll let you go on, and then I'll add a bit of that afterwards. What I saw before
Inside.
and after. So, did you watch the game, guys?
Yeah. I watched the game on Sunday. Watched it the day after because I was out watching the amateur ball under 15s tournament. Shout out to Kipax and Loch Lane in a brilliant final. Well done to Loch Lane who won. Who Kipax beat last week. So a bit of fun there. It's a big rivalry within the National Cup. But anyway, on the game, I think you're right. KR outstanding, weren't they? I'm judging on Twitter here. This is my reaction. I was on Twitter on the day when the game were happening. Cause I do the Twitter, I do the retweets of all the big moments. You know what I mean, for the show me Twitter, and there were a lot of negativity towards Wigan. And I watched it back, and that first half, I thought Wigan played really well. I think there were a lot of things to be excited about. Whether, as people were saying, I think I had a conversation with a coach in a different thing that said, they were kind of it was kind of like the Wigan way with their own downfall in that they obviously a lot of 6 agains, a lot of grubbiness that caused 6 agains and little penalties they didn't need. But if you take away that, I think if you took away them doing that, which can be improved upon, and you know what I mean, Matty can make a big emphasis on not doing that as much. It's not doing the grubbiness, sort of free in the tackle, trying to whack the ball, trying to give him a rub. I think I'm excited about Wigan. I took it very differently to a lot of people said. I saw enough in that Wigan game there that I'll get onto KR in a minute. They deserve more credit because obviously they won, but I'm responding here to people on Twitter that have dissed Wigan. Sorry, so it's not against KR, it's not against anywhere. Wigan had a lot of slaughter for the game. I actually took out that I really liked the way they played. They had a lot of exciting plays, a lot of exciting rugby. And I was like, well, no, I'm excited to watch Wigan this year. So that's against a lot of people on Twitter.
Can I ask you this, because I didn't see the game? Wigan, I've said that for me, they're the team who are most likely to stop Saints winning it. Warrington now, I've got them in after on the back of one performance, but I expect Wigan fans to be bagging that because Hull KR are a team who, on paper, in theory, looking at the season as a whole, Wigan should be going there and getting the job done. It sounds to me like the game was well reffed, which will have an effect on it. But if Wigan can't go there against an extremely strong OKR team, and they're backing you up there, what they're showing is, from an outside point of view, looking at the result, that when they're at full strength, they can cause anyone problems. Well, their problem for me is going to be if they start getting injuries and the depth they've got.
I think KR have got one of the biggest depth behind Huddersfield in the league.
I think they've got depth to a level, but anyway, how Wigan not going there with a very strong team and getting the job done is a concern for Wigan.
But I think
automatically
perfect into what segue in there is what I want to say about KR is. I think Dad's been proven right. I think from everything that you saw, KR are a very legitimate team this year and have been very disrespected. I think bookies had them second to favourite. Some bookies had them second favourite when I was talking. My mates have said it, and I was like, no, because I've talked KR up a bit like that, not to the same extent as Dad, but I've definitely talked them up, and my friends were arguing against me. I think KR super legit. I think Dad was spot on. I think, super legit. Wigan, I think, showed enough for me that they got things wrong. It's the third, again, I'm going to drop that in, cover my bets here, that the first game of the season, they got it wrong. They got the grubbiness wrong. They got that bit wrong. They did it way too much. I think they were probably fired up because it's the first game back. And they just took it a bit too far.
Well,
in my opinion,
the ref clearly hasn't allowed it because sometimes the refs do. So
the
ref was.
I don't think that me getting in. I don't want to make it about the ref. It definitely won't.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah,
it won't a referee's.
What Wigan were really.
No, Wigan. No.
Got it wrong. I think got it wrong.
Just for me that. The referee definitely didn't have an emblem. The best team won.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying the referee sounds like he's got hold of what Wigan can do.
Yeah, no. Wigan got it against them as well. It were both.
Right.
It's definitely not a Wigan thing, for God's sake.
Right.
We look at this and it's whether you rate the chances from the start of the season. Jimmy's just said there, I think Wigan will be devastated.
I do.
And I think from their side, they went in there to win the game and thought they would win the game. What they probably didn't realise is that OKR also were thinking that this is what I'm trying to say about pre-game. There was a lot of people at OKR. When you get a Wigan fixture, historically, people, you can hear it all week, they don't want to play against Wigan, I tell you now. They don't admit it. They would certainly want that. There was an excitement about everything. And because and this is what I said before, how important pre-season is. KR were pre-season from Featherstone game, it were all down. Then when they put Leeds away, and the way they did it, it bounced. It was like that, bang. They left Frankie out, they left Rowan out, Lewis Johnson, I could go on Innis Senior, Lewis Senior. There was at least 6 or 7, 8 who were sat in the stand, the young four. Anyway, watching it, they had an injury to the big prop, when he came on. What is different? There's only one difference in this, and it sticks out a mile. KR are going to be harder to beat than the Walshire. When they're in their arm wrestle, they're not going to throw the ball about for 18 passes. They're going to grind it, kick chase. I spoke to Willie after the game. Willie goes, "That's what I've been on about. They've got to learn to have that." He used, it's that word you use when you go, "Got to have that," and they did. There were times in the game where I think the old KR had gone, "We can come back." And you thought we're all over. You just thought automatically, here we go. I got one text from whoever in the KR. He's like, oh God, here we go. They were thinking it, and they didn't. They dug straight in. I want to get to this bit. Me, I'm watching it, and I'm looking at the best team in our comp now are based on one thing, and I'd love to get the stats to prove it: pace, and I mean pace from the middle. So Smith, it's Morgan, Knowles, Lees, Scarsbrook, Roby. Literally all the team looked to have got a fast leg speed. Now we're looking at Wigan, and I'm looking at, you've got your pick and roller, Sam Powell and the young lad, Brad O'Neill. Both brilliant plays, but very similar. Very similar.
I don't think they are.
Right, well, I'll finish and then you can have a go. Very similar for me in what they do. I think Sam can pick and roll a bit, but he's not a Jez Litton or a Parcell. He ain't got that bang.
No.
Young Brad definitely doesn't do that. He's a tough, he's an unbelievable competitor. He can pass his skill level. He's border on a 13, 9. And then you've got Sam, who is a definite 9.
Well,
but he's
played hard.
Sam again, a lot of Sam's emphasis is on competitiveness and defending and competitiveness and a bit of play. For me, what I like what KR did, he didn't bring Jez Litton on till quarter of an hour. Now, as a Jez fan, I'm devastated.
Quarter of an hour left.
Yeah, and I'm devastated. I'm devastated for him. I'm thinking, oh God. But I've got to be honest now, I see it. Parcell had a lovely flow of the game and they were causing them massive problems. And when Wigan tried to slow the Rook down, it didn't happen. By God, they got him. They were just jumping out and bang. And there were leads. But what were really funny as well, how well OKR Pack played. Now, historically, you'd have probably said, how can Pack do against... The new signing was excellent. Sue, absolutely excellent. George King, there were mutters about Big G. Well, they'll be quiet now. There's no doubt they'll be quiet. They won't mention that one again. From what I saw, I thought Matty Staunton was unbelievable.
Right.
I thought Matty Staunton, and he talked on the show, and somebody's commented on what he said about having these bumpers up and going down. Matty usually stands in tackling, and they've got 5 and he's carrying them, and then it's all a bit slow. But this time he hit and stuck that straight down. He only did 2 or 3 of his ones where he carries on. He just literally bang and dropped. Quick play at ball.
Nice.
But for me, there is, I think Wigan. It's weird because the Arse are not exceptionally fast.
No, definitely not. No.
Right, so you've got the 2 in the middle hookers and the 2 Arse.
Yeah, they've no speed except for them 2. You know.
So all the speeds on the outside. So if you look at it, you go, right, if you're Wigan, get that early shift on. Get it to, when they did it, it was unbelievable. Jake Ward, wow, Liam Marshall inside.
That's the bit I'm talking
Toby's
about.
carries were unbelievable. He's got Bevan outside. But in this bit here, and I'm looking at it and I'm going, they don't look to be too much pace. They don't look to be that what everyone's going for in modern game. That's probably not there. And I'm wondering if Ryan Hampshire's going to make a big difference, because Ryan, if he does play half, I know people said, Arsenal were playing inside, but Ryan's got pace. He's a 10.1 GPS pace. That's top level. But I think they're going to need it in there. If I go like that, I think if they... Matty might say this has had nothing to do, it's ridiculous. I think if you find out what yardage the KR forwards and the hookers did, I reckon Parcell probably did more yardage than about 5 of their players. I bet he's done a 150 game.
I'm disagreeing. First time ever. It's normally me and Dad agree. I'm really disagreeing. I thought they did well. I won't be surprised now if Wigan went on. What I'm trying to say is from that, I won't be surprised if Wigan went and won 7 straight on the bounce.
I promise you, this is only me saying it, Matt, he didn't think they did well. And none of
well, yeah, because obviously I know that. I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised. I think they showed me enough. They
definitely got enough.
They showed me enough to think I'm not worried at all. I'm disappointed. If I were a Wigan fan, coach, player, I'm pissed off that I've lost, of course, so I don't want to think, the players that walk out going, we showed it, we saw enough there. But no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, disappointing loss. But I wouldn't be surprised then if they went on and win 9 straight. I thought the Pack definitely are a bit slower, but they are. But what they do have is obviously again.
I think he'll play Bevan at 6, Joe. I think they're gonna have to. Bevan on wing. I think if you're gonna pay, and it's reputedly, so again, don't be whatever he's been paid. I'm looking at him on wing and thinking he's not a brilliant yardage. He's not a yardage man. No Tommy Makins, and he don't bring ball back. And Percival, he ain't one of them. He's obviously people in good ball. If you put him in, he's the best skill. Yeah. He's got the best top running game. He's not a yardage winger. No. He's not an Ash Hanley. He's not the year 150s.
But then that's why
I'm thinking, unless you're in front. Yeah, but I'm saying if he's only good for you effectively when he's on the ball, and probably being in attacking zone.
Yeah.
He's not definitely not good in your own half.
Well, he is. That's what he's
unless they do a kick return and they breaks. But a lot of people have sussed that down. They're not going to allow that to happen as much, in my opinion. So you look at it there and I'm thinking, God, how do they get him in game? And there's not a lot of pace, like I said, from there. So I wonder if they're going to play him I wonder if they dare. Or play him at fullback and put Giant.
Well, I think that would be if they did change it, that's what they've done last year. But I mean, and I know what you're saying, Joe, but my point is, Wigan, it's expectations. Wigan will be wanting to come top. That'll be their goal this year and go to the final, win the final. So to drop points at Hull KR is not good enough. Of course, they'll show signs because by all accounts, one of the top 2 teams. They're going to be, but they should be getting that job done. So they'll be devastated that they haven't.
But it's first game of the season. I think
they
got things wrong.
We're not. Listen, we might get stickers of program. They might say, "Oh God, they're making."
We generalise a lot, don't we?
Yeah, no. They're making big things. We all know it's the first game of the season.
Yeah.
But our job is we're trying to get some narrative for you to report.
That's what I mean. My narrative is, I think they just got it wrong. I think they've gone into it doing the weird. Let's get him. Let's get stuck in. They've took that a bit too far in the first game. They'll figure that out very quickly. Probably the next game they'll have it figured out soon, straight away, in my opinion. Be interesting if I'm miles off, I think.
Well, they'll be minus 20 against Wake.
The next interesting game, if we're not being very pedantic about it, the next interesting game where it's a top team.
Well, no, it's disrespectful Wake.
I would be surprised if they're still top of the season and we completely forget about this first game. And then we look back at the highlights and go, oh, bloody hell, we're all there. They just got it wrong. They give away how many 6 against did they give? How many silly penalties did they give away?
That's because, again, that's easy. You're giving away 6 again because you're trying to slow the ruck.
Yeah, I think
I don't think Matt Hill said that had a big bearing. I just don't think they play.
Really?
Honestly.
Really? Why is that?
Because of what I said. I think that middle bit, they need to get some faster twitch into there, and I don't know how they're going to do it. I think they need to find a way. You could mention it all. You could mention the 8 players there. You might say, can we get some leg speed?
Morgan Smithy's got pretty good leg speed.
Morgan's more competitive. I don't want to get involved, but Morgan's a lot more competitive. Now, I wouldn't say Morgan's known for being the best competitor of a player.
Right.
So is Brad O'Neill, so is Sam Bowles. Liam Byrne's a big lump of a lad who's got a good carry, but he's not, again.
I were impressed with Sam Powell. I thought Sam Powell played pretty well. He did the kick as well, didn't he, to get the chip over for the try?
Parcell won the battle.
Yeah, yeah.
And Sam Powell is the England Ducker. So it's top 3. He should be winning the battle. If you do the matchups there, Sam Powell should be thinking, in my opinion. And it's not about Sam v Parcell because you're only judging forwards. But Parcell definitely dominated the running game on the pitch.
That's what he's so good at, though.
I thought Ryan Hall got injured. He was having a great game. Kenny Dowell rolling back the years again. What a lovely thing he said after the game when they said he scored 3 tries. He was, listen, they'd have all been all his mate. He said, I didn't do anything to stop my hands caught it and put it on the line. He says, it's what this team are doing. That is fabulous. Jordan, it's 20 minutes of Jordan were mesmeric. Sometimes you think, God, it's going down wrong corner doing things. Mikey, does what Mikey does. Ian and Morgan clashed twice. I hope Morgan, I hope Morgan didn't get done for it. I hope Mikey spoke up for him, I think, afterwards and said, look, maybe just got it wrong. But Morgan's charged with his shoulder. But I don't think he's done it in a malicious way. I think he's just followed through. I don't think it was done. There was no swing of any arm. And I think it was a frustration of where the game were going. And Mikey'd upset a couple at ruck and done what he does. And, and he's at him and he's having a right running battle with Harry Smith. And I'd love to see Mikey. There were 3 times he got the ball, Mikey, and he literally just sat off running at Harry. And he didn't try and beat him. He just ran at him. And Harry's planted him, absolutely planted him. And then they're arguing on the floor, and I'm thinking, God, they've got into this little battle. But sometimes, if you like Mike, you like Ryan Brayley sometimes in a Bentley, you can take people off the game, and suddenly you're making the game about Mikey, and suddenly then all them other players are getting on with the game, and Mikey's got 3 little vendettas. And he's still verb, you know what I mean? So, it was weird.
Love it.
It was weird because you do need that in the game.
Well, he'll be saying, look, Dodsy's just secured 1 share. It's between me and you, and I'm having the other one for England.
But he'd have to do a lot more. Mikey knows this. I think there's a lot of people say his overall games. And Mikey said to me, I'm only just getting started. Mikey's got to get more than a running game. To be that player and that level, you've got to be able to consistently be. What did Dodsy say? I don't get bored of being boring. I'll give you 12 kicks in corner, and I will not. He did 8, and he didn't come off it. So great start for Hull KR. Everything what they believe
Brilliant.
they can do.
They played absolutely brilliant.
What they can do, and people so respect him after the game, and everyone were like, wow, But that's my thing of all of it. I didn't, in the build up to the game, both teams thought they could win the game without a doubt. That's different. From Hull KR historically playing Wigan, there's no way they would spend the last 6 weeks thinking they could win that opening game like they did. And I believe they think they can go on a run. I think they look and go, well, we've got no injuries here.
Well, why not? If you
we can go on a run here.
And I think the one thing I noticed, KR's biggest difference, like you said, they did stay in the battle, but for me, just watching it, the fitness levels were, to say that was thing that, obviously that's what the fitness levels were unbelievable. They finished just as strong as they started, which is no offence to them last year, a massive contrast to last year. That was one of their weak points. They'd go up, down. The fitness levels just weren't good enough last year.
I never saw that.
I thought the fitness levels, if you watch it back again, I thought the fitness levels were I sat there watching going, I'm not watching Hull KR here. But obviously and I thought, wow, they've really, the emphasis were on. I know I spoke to a few of the young lads who we look after who were saying, it's the hardest pre-season we've ever done. The fit's all about fitness, all about, and obviously moaning. But they look back, they were all so fit. Abdul played as good as he did, in my opinion, because he was fit enough. I think he was fitter. At some points, Abdul looks not like a professional rugby player. He did today. Sean Kenny Dowell looked fit, ready, athletic.
He always does, Kenny.
He always does, but he looked even better than he normally. I think Matty Staunton, obviously we saw him on the show, looked so fit.
We challenged him, didn't
fit.
We challenged him in that programme last week to see what had happened when he got tagged. And I said to Matty on the show, a lot of people commented, what happens when you come under pressure? Will you resort to throwing ball at you everywhere? They didn't.
But I think that allowed to keep in a game. I think to keep in the rubbish comes from being fit.
Keep in what you just said. Keep
the
in
rubbish. What players would think is the tough part. Then
the arm wrestle.
The arm wrestle. To keep in that, I think you've got to be extremely fit. I reckon they went off of it last year. Again, in my opinion, I think they went off it last year because they weren't fit enough to keep in it last year. Forget mental toughness. If you're not fit enough, you can be mentally tough as you want if your body can't physically keep up. I think their fitness levels allowed them to stick in it. Like I can't emphasise how much the S&C and Willie have got to be complimented because it was a complete. They were just so fit.
There's a belief, though. There's a belief. There's definitely a belief. When I started, there's a belief in that, and it's so rewarding for Super League and big plaudits for Super League, where you've now got teams playing Wigan and saying they're going to have a good chance. I've seen years go by. They've not conceded, but there's certainly been a lot of times when they're like, oh, God, who'd want Wigan first game of the season? We all new signings, we all this and that. I don't think that matters anymore. I think every team's going to have a crack at each other.
Yeah. And I didn't see the game, and I know you've given it warranted, but result of the week for me is that. I think for Hull KR to pick up points against Wigan, well, like you say, Wigan could easily go and win the next 7-8 games. So I think they could be massive points because I still think it's going to be hard. That it'll be hard for them this year.
I guess I just had Hull KR higher, didn't I? So I guess it's not as impressive because I had Hull KR actually quite high. I'm on the dad.
You had them in playoffs?
I had top 6, yeah.
So for me, it's
I'm
because
quite happy I had KR
3.
and Salford in the top 6, and they both had a great start. So I'm flying.
You're buzzing, Joe.
Yeah.
So we've got the last game, guys, and again we'll try and build not just the narrative behind this, a bit of build up for you. Hull FC v Tigers. I thought this was actually Tigers he wanted, it was Hull FC. The feedback we've had from the lads is, he said the atmosphere were electric. He said absolutely thoroughly enjoyed. The fans are unbelievable. I thought, right, don't lose a couple because you might hear that might come back to haunt you. But he thought it was fantastic. The word is it were a 2-half game. All that. So I've only watched the highlights and I did a bit of the commentary.
Does commentary?
Yeah, I always listen to commentary.
Oh, so you listen to it?
I always listen to commentary. So I'll watch a game or I'll have earphones on them most times. And it was weird because again expectations and all were in that Catalans thing where you're thinking, I wonder what Hull are going to provide here. And I was thinking, I wonder what Hull are going to provide. Well, for half an hour, they were sensational. I think there were a massive disappointment on Cass, and I think the panic must have set into Radders at his own club, sat there and he's thinking, oh my God, first game of the season. Both teams, again, I think Cass would have thought they can win, and I think All FC would have thought they could win. And this is, again, another compliment to Super League and to the way the comp's going. I don't know many teams going to these games without thinking they can win it. It's amazing, isn't it, if you think about it. Even Wakey, saying Wakey can beat Catalans, I think they went in there thinking they could beat Catalans.
Definitely, yeah.
So, again, maybe Saints have got the older everybody. When Saints come to town, they might go, oh God, especially after World Club, they might be thinking this is just another level.
Well, yeah, but we've got a few weeks of him before.
Yeah, and it was weird actually, because a couple of players who texted me last night said, and I hope it isn't this, by the way, I'm saying this in a nice way for the comp, I hope Saints don't do the gap and dominate, because if they are that far ahead of where they are, and let's be honest, it's probably the most obvious thing we're all going to say, they're the best club side in the world. So coming back to Super League, you'd have thought that they're probably going to be 1 to 3 on to win every game, you know, and even, you know, you're thinking, is everyone going to go, oh no, they're here, and I hope not for this comp. Gordon Bennett, do I hope not? Because that's the last thing we need now. We'll rejoice, you Saints. We'll give you all the claps in the world. We'll respect you, but don't be out swearing. You know, what we need is them to go on a run of about 15 straight wins and put 40 on everybody, and us all going, no.
I think that's what's happened in the Champ already. I know we're doing a thing, but I think that's what's happened in the Champ already. So if it happens in Super League, it'd be both leagues with the same kind of feel, and I think that'd be, like I said, it'd be sad, wouldn't it?
I don't see it. I still think, you know, Wigan and now Warrington will be like, no, we can definitely mix it with them. I'm not worried.
And Huddersfield.
I'm not worried. Well, yeah, and even Huddersfield. And anyone.
Well, Huddersfield have got them this week, haven't they?
No, that was the cancelled game.
That was the cancelled game.
Cass play.
Cass play. Well, you'll see where it is. But yeah, so Hull FC off to a good start. The Tony Smith era. They'll be so happy and overwhelmed. When you come back from a big defeat, it's weird because Cass come back in that last 20 minutes and scored about 4 tries. So you're probably going to take something away from that, which is positive. You're probably going, right, okay, we started awful. That's first game of the season. But look how we ended. So I think Radders' team talks and lasties will be quite good. Tony's probably thinking, well, we did it first half, a great lads. God knows what happened. We need to get that bit right. So as coaches, they've probably got a bit of juice on the bone to work on both teams. But it was funny how he said the atmosphere. And he's been at Leeds since he was a kid. And I'm quite interested when he said, mate, it were electric. Like, the fans are just now like, wow.
You know what I think's different? I think Leeds, when Leeds are winning and it's big games, they come alive. But it's always been like that. I used to love the old stadium and the atmosphere there. But I think at Hull, you get that more consistent. The fans are going at it.
There were times last year at Leeds, it was like a morgue, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Leeds has suffered. The atmosphere at the new stadium at Leeds is nothing like the old, isn't it? But it's always been a bit more when Leeds are in the grind and it's in a big game and Leeds are winning, it comes alive. But I think Hull's probably a bit of a different atmosphere where there's a bit more going on throughout. I think that's where. I mean, I've not spoken to Sutton myself, but it'd be interesting if it is that.
Well, they've got it'll be interesting.
It's Leeds and Hull FC this week.
Well, that's what I'm about to say. Yeah, I'm just about to say to you, that fixture now, to me, is just not even close. That could be absolutely massive. Because if Rhinos go into that and get beat, off Hull will then go 2 out of 2. The confidence on Hull will be winning because they've still got 4 or 5 that are going to make your squads. They've got some juice to come back in there to give them the numbers they got. They've also got some very good young players. But then you've got Leeds and I don't want to sound it, because a guy pulled me up in the bar on Saturday and was like, come on, give me some good news around Leeds. Come on, show me, give me some good news. And I was like, you've got obviously some injuries, you sell it, but I tell you what, is that a 6-pointer already, lads?
4-pointer.
4-pointer.
For playoffs, yeah, I think so. I think nearly every game of the season's a 4-pointer in some way, but the interesting thing, and you can almost read it, the Twitter comments now, can't you? If Brad Dwyer crashes over with a last-minute try or puts Sutty in like he's done already, you can imagine the Leeds fans. And
if you're old, you want to come to Headingley. You do, don't you, at the moment?
Well, absolutely.
You want to try to put 30 on Leeds to make a big statement. It's the perfect time to play
Leeds. You want Leeds in these first few weeks before they've got their stronger team on the pitch and before some of those players come back. And Hull FC have got off to a very good start. Obviously, the second half we'll be having a look at that, but I mean, what a big game that is for Rhinos, isn't it? First home game against Hull FC, who will be dangerous. You know, was it 2 years ago when Hull FC came to Headingley, or 3 years ago when we absolutely destroyed him first game?
I watched the highlights of the game, the Cast Hull game, and I thought Hull looked very good, didn't they? Brad Dwyer could be, again, we love big statements on the show, could be the signing of the season. I think, again, we've said about Brad Atleed's one of the unsung heroes, didn't we? One of the unsung heroes of that team that made it time and time again, because he would always, if they couldn't find a try, you know, we're talking about Lee, them try scorers. Brad Dwyer is a try scorer. You know he can pull off a try. And he set a couple up. He played brilliant. Sutty looked brilliant. I think the team looked good. And
the Sea lads looked good, didn't they? But I mean, only on the highlights.
Jake Clifford won man of the match.
Yeah.
Tex High.
And
he got tried, didn't he?
Not as much of Tex, I don't think, but I think Jake, everyone were just giving Jake a just massive compliment. Cass, like you said,
slow start.
I think obviously with what's happened in the build up, they had a slow start. Westerman got taken off after 30 minutes, didn't it? And then that seemed to be the catalyst of them playing well again. So I think obviously there might be other stuff in their heads. They've cleared all that up. They've gone up in the second half and played. So that probably both two unknown teams. We both know now that both can score loads of tries. Obviously, probably both
can they play for 80 minutes. That's
both defences. Can both defences be trusted?
It's bizarre. I've just been thinking there. You've said it's. If you look at the Cruz v Dwyer battle, they both come from Warrington. Both got released at
Huddersfield.
No, Warrington. Cruz went up to Warrington until they were 17, 16.
God, sorry, I didn't know.
Yeah, and then Dwyer obviously
Dwyer was
21. So they're both for. John Basting were there with both. Then you've got Ackers who were there at the same time. It's when you think about it, you've got three hookers there within that system, and they've ended up because they went and paid a lot of money for Dan Clark at 17. Yeah. Sorry, at 20, 21. And then obviously you and Danny. But it's bizarre that Warrington created three lads there. They're going toe to toe. That battle with Cruz and Dwyer could be the battle of the century, because you've got Dwyer got told he was number 2 to Cruz in no certain fashion. I don't think he ever believed he was number 2 to Cruz. I think every time he come on, he thought he made a massive impact. Yeah. So I think he'll be going in there saying, you know what, we'll see who is. Let's put it to thingy. I think that could be the real battle of the day. Yeah. And it's funny. I always thought with Jez, the reason we took Jez out of Hull was because we didn't think Jez would get the game time, and he did. Because Daniel wanted to play long minutes, but it's weird here. Is Danny going to finally relinquish the minutes to
that's what surprised me. I took Brad Dwyer out of my dream team because I expect him to have a big year. And I thought, but he's not going to start. He's not going to play enough minutes for the dream team. But if they use him, Dwyer's got so much. That's what I'm saying. I expected it to be Houghton with Dwyer coming on. But if Hull FC have got the idea, we're just going to let that little live wire create carnage for
they've got a hell of a big pack. They've got some big men. If they get Brad behind that pack, and Danny's willing to give that role up of his playing the long minutes, maybe go and play a bit of loose or go play someone else, then all of a sudden Brad's allowed to be let loose. But I tell you what, that's a challenging match. Exciting. Listen, it's the first games that have happened. The Saints have come marching on. The champions elect will come back next week. Yeah. I know already what their team talk will be. Listen, they're all here thinking we've had a good time and we're all fatigued. Now let's show when they come back on.
You'll probably see some youngsters play maybe this weekend.
No, honestly, I don't.
They're going to go straight in with the same team?
I've got a feeling that the Origin back-to-back, they'll all be looking at each other. The culture there's, and this is a thing for people listening, I think. Leeds and now Saints, who dominated the last 10, 12 years of Super League, apart from Wigan, then for Wigan for that bit. And Wigan at the time, the culture is so important. I can't talk about this as much. Danny Maguire, Kevin Sinfield, Jamie Peacock, Jamie Jones, Rob Burrow were at that club for 12 years. And everybody who came in had to adhere to their ideas. You could not go against any of the mafia. Yeah. You just couldn't. It was impossible for you to walk into Leeds and ever go against Kev, JP. You would have been, in fact, we've heard the old saying, the coach should go to the top players and say, what do you think of it? Well, Saints do it. I know because it's happened to the players I put in. And they'll say, Michael say, I need to speak to Johnny. I need to speak to Johnny, I need to speak to Robes and Alex. They're the first three who they go and speak to. I think young Lewis and maybe Wellsby would be
Enter it now, yeah.
But now they'd be spoke about. That club is run on 3 or 4 individuals' as stature in the game, and how their bar is there, and they're saying, unless you get to these standards and become one of us, you don't do it. I think that's probably the problem with a lot of the other clubs at the moment, is creating them 4 or 5 culture players who they know are going to be at that club sustainably for a long time, and they're still like, people might say, should Johnny be gone to Australia? I honestly believe that the catalyst of what happened at weekend will tell you Johnny will say, no chance. I've loved every minute, and guess what? I can walk in Saints for the next 30 years. My statue's going to be polished next to Roby's, next to Kieran Cunningham's, and I'm all right. Yeah. I can come here with my suit and my family and get a standing ovation for the next 25 years. If I go to a club in Oz, no, I don't. Yeah. I don't get that, and I think that is what the biggest thing. What's come out of the first weekend for me is it'll be interesting how the other clubs. How do you create that sustainability? Culture, the word culture is used off every sport in the world. How do other clubs get top players? And you know what I mean? How do you do it?
Totally.
I don't know how the other clubs can catch up. Because now, if these two do stay, Dodson,
you need a young crop of players that are willing to stay in the club for 10 years, don't you?
It links into everything we've been saying for weeks and weeks. It's how do you keep the crop, as Joe uses, together? How do you stop him flying off to Oz? How do you create it?
But even moving clubs feel about Oz, isn't it? It's like even looking at, let's say Hull now get a roll, and you're lucky you've got, let's say Truey, Sutty, you've mentioned some of these, Jordan Lane, young Jack Brown, Davey Litton coming in. We'd have mentioned ours, and then we mentioned other young players there. They're the next vacuum of what would be the Scott Taylor, the Danny Outons, do you get me?
Yeah, but then that comes from what we're saying, and what we readily accept is that is the most important thing. You need the CEOs, the directors, and the coaches to also have that stance and to have that long-term vision. Because if a coach is more bothered about who he's got on his side for next year because he's on a rolling contract, they're not as forward thinking. That's what I always feel the big problem is. We need to have that longevity, but a coach is often thinking about his team next year, and he'll sign someone in rather than invest and keep the young ones.
Well, think about it there, Saints. So looking at that, you've got this one about culture. Nathan Brown.
Yeah.
Justin Holbrook. Wolfie.
Yeah.
Now Wellens. 4 coaches, same success. Leeds Rhinos, Tony Smith, Brian McLennan, Brian McDermott. 3 coaches, 8 titles, 9 titles. What that tells you is that whoever's driving the vehicle, the culture of that club and them players, the only thing that stayed solid at Leeds were them players. The only thing that at Saints stayed solid is Scully and them handing the baton on, and Kieran and Longy and Pricey and Jointy handing the baton on to the next ones. So it's unbelievable how they're doing it and thinking about it, isn't it? Yeah. The great Wigan side, it's like handing the baton on there.
They were good 8 years for Saints.
No, Johnny played with Scully in them. So I'm saying it's genius how they're doing it. So you've got Scully and all them who were finishing, Kieran, and all of a sudden Robes is the man in between because Robes gets there. Johnny comes along because he played full back as a young lad, 18, 19, he was a full back. Suddenly Johnny comes in. And then they're going to start the new ones. Percy comes in, Tommy Mack comes in. You get it?
Yeah.
And it's this unbelievable.
The transition's smooth.
And they're sending the souls. This is what I'm trying to say is they're also saying to each other, this is what it means to wear this shirt. And if I hand you this as my culture leader, you've got to these high standards. And then next young kids are coming in and they're going, and it's already starting again. I don't think the other clubs have got this. How many other clubs, if you took the coach out, and explode, and could they just carry on like that vehicle? Just carry on? I doubt it, because they're always trying to improve things.
Leeds could have done. Well, clearly Leeds did years ago. Saints are just in that period now. No, because what Leeds didn't do was do the right things to continue that smooth progression. Saints are seemingly doing it. If they keep hold of Wellsby, Dodds, and a couple of the other young forwards coming through, then they can keep it going for longer.
Well, they've already got Morgan
And
Knowles, they've got Matty Lees, who was still only 26.
Next-
No,
Six-
Matty Lee's
six-
younger, isn't he?
Well, they've got 6 years of that. It's crazy.
But they definitely need to still do things to keep him, because there's talk that a few of them might go next year, the year after. It's all about how long can Saints hold on to that before some of the players get tempted to go, and that's fine if they can replace him with
Leeds, if you
similar.
think about it, Leeds just lost a lot of players. I was watching a clip of Leeds the other day, and it was a grand final clip, and I looked even at the young men on that pitch, and I think it was like Zach, he'd have been 23, Callum, and I think, God, they had world class. They didn't just have Danny in them, they actually had world class. I know they had Bishop on it, but they had these world class young players, right, who were coming, and you'd have had an Ash Hanley then who was 17, do you get me? But you've got these unbelievable players who were already in the system, who've been there, who've been there for a long time, and I think that's probably the reason they've all left now.
Well, we've said it loads of times. Leeds Rhinos went through what Man United went through, where it comes to the end where too many have gone, and there's not enough coming through, or the ones that have come through are a little bit too young still. But Leeds will still be hoping that Cameron Smith, Michalewski, Ash Hanley, they'll be hoping that they're getting a few together. Morgan, they need to keep Morgan Gannon.
It's that model, Jimmy. Do you think it's that model against the Salford Lee, where they have a lot of changeover, where Salford are unbelievable at Moneyball? They've got to be. How they're doing it's unbelievable. Grand final and Challenge Cup final in the last 5 years, I can't get my head around it. And you've got this lovely culture thing. Then you've got somebody who's working cap over. Then you've probably got a lot of the teams in between who are doing a bit of both. Do you get me?
Well, I think the key there to winning grand finals in a sustained one is having the best youth system, innit? I think that's simple. Having the best youth system. Like again, you always use the idea of the Moneyball players. There's not a single grand final winning side where there's not 3 or 4 young kids. That last year, I apologise, I forgot his name. The young Benison come in out of nowhere and just started, like you said, played to an extremely high level at fullback and wing. Then you always have these Moneyballers that keep them going, which are mainly the young players. A lot of the other teams,
well, the overseas Moneyballers don't have
that a lot of the other teams don't have that production, do they? So it's so tough, because then if you look into it, well, all the best young kids go to Saints, Wigan or Leeds, don't they? Most of the time, there's a couple.
So Warrington, I think, at the moment, are a bit challenging that.
Warrington try, don't they? But their issues, they don't.
Well, they do. I think they have this. This is what Warrington have probably got right.
Now getting it right.
Richard Marshall, the coach, assistant coach of the first team, improving the S&C to the first team. He's going to know all them young'uns. They're going to push Allroyd and them through.
Yeah.
There is no doubt they're going to have a culture of unbelievable players.
So they're finally doing it now, aren't
they? Yeah. And if
it shouldn't have took them
they
so long.
They might get their role on. They might get their role on.
I can see it coming.
If Warrington can understand what the culture is and say, listen, we hang on to these and just keep on taking out the 3 or 4 props they bring in each year, last 2 years, and then they bring another one, but they're keeping this core of... You're going to probably have 8 or 9, aren't you? 8 or 9 who are going to stay with you for a period of 10 years. You've then got a chance, and that's for me the challenge. And one thing this weekend's done, and we'll leave it at this, is I do believe it's give the Super League and the IMG in this competition, and Rugby League's the winner. And again, for Champ 1 and Championship, the higher... This, if we can start there, it'll shove everything up. Everybody will start getting better deals. So I know sometimes we split the comp and we split Champ 1 and we say, forget about grassroots and amateur. All of us will get a lift if we can go with it. Yeah. The challenge for the other teams for me is, after the first week of watching everybody, and it's been so exciting week for us all, but is the Saints. I don't think the Saints are not going to be marching on unless something drastic happens and these other teams can make this culture change, and keep these players and then get the magic in it. Huddersfield, we're all excited to watch Huddersfield this week, because Huddersfield, you both have got a massive platform of them being in top four. Yeah.
So I've got them winning the league.
So if they go, this is a big, could Huddersfield the ones who we're going to say, we're going to be hunting them down like your Wigans, like your Warringtons, like your, whatever. It'll be exciting.
I want to ask, before we finish, we've not seen Huddersfield yet, but we have seen Saints in the World Club Challenge. I want to ask, what's our main take from that round 1? You can pick a team that you thought might struggle, that you think will do well. What is your main take? I'm going to go with Warrington straight off the bat, putting in a really impressive performance.
They've just gone bang, bang, and put the stake down on them.
Yeah, I do think that they have, and I know we can't get too carried away, but the way they did it, and most importantly, the performances by their new signings, I just think that is a huge statement.
Oh, Warrington got this week.
I'll tell you.
Giants. No.
I think it is, you know.
Yeah, it's
Warrington are away at Huddersfield, so what an interesting game that's going to be.
So you're going to find out. Listen, my take would be simple. It'd be KR beating Wigan and putting the stake down, and Warrington. They'd be my two stories. By the way, we've done a separate show on the Saints. It's all about the Saints.
Yeah, that's off the cuff. I'd say how important. Oh, I don't know. I'm panicking now. I love Warrington. I'd say just.
Stop that, Sam.
I've folded.
Jesus Christ.
I've folded. Don't stop it.
You could have just said like Salford.
I didn't want to be boring. I think
it's got Warrington 15 seconds on a
state. I know. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think of something interesting.
Well, Salford getting the points and proving that hopefully your predictions right.
Point is, I called Hull KR playing well. I called Salford playing pretty well. Well done, Joe. There we go. I'll play it simple and boring.
So you're just happy with your...
Happy with my pre-season predictions in Super... I might have got my champ ones wrong, but I've got my Super Leagues right so far.
Hey, by the way, we're going to wrap this up. So that's a full 80 Super League special, I think Sam will call it that. So we're not getting mixed with the full 80 topical show. The lads are going to roll a championship show. The Fancy Rugby League, Joe's going to roll on his own. Massive plug, please.
We can't do it this... I have to do it on a StreamYard later.
But anyway, we've had an unbelievable response to the Fancy Rugby League team.
Over 320 teams.
There you go, and that was in about 4 days. It's animal.
And I'm 12.
Jimmy's 12, and so unbelievable. Keep liking, keep sharing. Hope you enjoyed our preview of that. As I say, it's not a full 80. We always keep the full 80s for the King, Mick Gledel. He loves to talk about all aspects. That's a nice preview for your own Super League, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.